If you mainly read romance, then you probably don't watch my channel very much. Or if you do, you're looking for different recommendations. But today, I am going to recommend all of my favorite romances. I know, it's gonna be different for me, and these are probably books that will not be on most people's romance recommendation lists because while there are like traditionally published regular romances, a lot of these are books that are romances but have another heavy plot line. So hopefully this will appeal to someone that tends to read like I do but wants like a little something lovey-dovey for February. My first recommendation is a real oldie, and this one is Save the Date by Mary Kay Andrews. This came out in 2014, and I'm pretty sure that's when I read it. Back before I was a big reader, I would pretty much just read whatever was like on sale on Kindle, and that's how I discovered this book. I've since read a few Mary Kay Andrews books, and she's not really for me, but this one I've read a couple times, and like, I don't know, I still really liked it. I haven't read it in several years, so maybe it would have changed, but I feel good about recommending this because of so much good that I remember about it. So this is about a woman named Kara who is a florist in Savannah, Georgia. And she is up and coming. She's just kind of new to town and she is determined to like make something of herself. Now, she keeps running into this man, Jack, who she doesn't get off to the best start with, but it's really sweet and I feel like their romance is very organic. It doesn't feel forced. So she's in a point where she has this wedding coming up that's kind of gonna be the payday she needs so she can pay back her father for the loan, who is just breathing down her neck and kind of doesn't believe that she has what it takes to make her business a success. And suddenly, though, the bride starts kind of acting erratically and some weird stuff is going on, and Kara is just not sure if she's going to be able to make it, but maybe she just needs help from a certain carpenter in her life. I will leave it at that, although it didn't tell you too much about the romance part, but just trust me, it's such a sweet, sweet book, and it's long, but like the pages fly by. The next one is The Dating Playbook by Farah Roshan. So technically, this is the second in a three-part series, a trilogy. The first one is The Boyfriend Project, and the third one is The Hookup Plan, which I have read all three of them, and this one is far and away my favorite. The third one I didn't really like at all, and the first one I thought was good, but not favorite worthy. So this is about a woman named Taylor who is a personal trainer, and she is not doing so great with her business. She's trying to make it out on her own and grow her own personal training business. So she kind of went viral from, in the first book, this is really the only thing about the first book that you need to know, was these three women kind of went viral because they all were dating the same guy and they like found out slash dumped him on camera, and then they all three became best friends. And so yeah, it's great. So she has like a little bit of like notoriety. People know who she is just because of that. And so she does these outdoor workout classes, and this NFL player comes who's kind of sidelined at the time. And she is like, "What are you doing here? Why would you come to my class?" And he just is like, "I want you to train me. You're the only one that can do it." Because he saw this video and he liked her. And then they have to fake date because he doesn't want anybody to know that she's the one training him. And it goes from there. It's a fake dating. It's really cute. It's really sweet. I loved these two together. And, you know, this is one where the romance is definitely the forefront of the plot. But I thought it was so good. The next one you're probably sick of me talking about because it was one of my favorite books of 2024, and that is The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. This is such a sweet, funny romance. So this follows Anna and Liam. So they were kind of a marriage of convenience when they were in college. So Liam comes from a super rich family that owns a chain of grocery stores. Anna is just kind of, she was struggling. Anna does not come from money, but she comes from a really loving family. So they got married when they were in college, basically so Liam could live in student housing because his parents were not going to help him out with that unless he studied what they wanted him to study. They kind of are like ships in the night, don't really know each other super well, even though they're married, and So the time comes where it's 5 years later and they can finally get divorced without raising suspicions or any red flags. But Liam says, Anna, I have been basically lying to my whole family this whole time that you were a doctor and you, like, that we married like this courthouse thing, but you're always all over the place and that's why you've never met. He's not very close to his family, so it's not like, I mean, it is weird, but it's not as weird. And so his little sister's getting married. I think it's Tahiti, but he's like, you need to come and just like pretend to be my real wife. And it's crazy. It's a ride. The setting of Tahiti is so gorgeous and incredible to read about. These two are so sweet together, and Anna is like hilarious. I absolutely loved reading her chapters and her lines. She was such a great character, and I think that if you like the rom-com type of rom, you will like this. The next one that I absolutely love and highly recommend is Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating by Christina Lauren. This was absolutely my favorite romance slash my favorite Christina Lauren book until The Paradise Problem came out. So this is held in high regard by me. This is a friends to lovers, and usually those are not like a lot of people's favorites, but this one is so sweet. So Hazel and Josh are these two best friends who keep setting each other up on different dates, but obviously there's more to it than that. Hazel seems on the surface like she would be the most annoying character because she's very like, gives off the like I'm not like other girls vibes, but she isn't like other girls. She's just unapologetically who she is. She doesn't use that to try to get attention from anyone. She just is who she is, and I absolutely love that about her character. Josh is just a really sweet guy. So they set each other up on several different dates, and one way or another, it ends up them two just, having more fun together than anyone else. So it's not hard to see how this progresses, but it's just such a sweet story. The epilogue, however, I will just say I wish that didn't exist, but overall, this book is amazing. Next is another one that is sort of less of a romance and more of a book with a heavy romance plotline, I guess. So that is Ties That Tether by Jane Igaro, and she has written a few books, but this was her debut, and it is by far the best in my opinion. So this is about a Nigerian woman named Aziri who she promised her dad when he was dying and she was 12 years old that she would, come hell or high water, marry a Nigerian man. They emigrated to Canada, and her mom has just been setting her up on dates after date after date with different Nigerian men, all to no avail. So after one of these dates, she goes over to a bar and meets this guy named Raphael. And not only is he not Nigerian, but he is white. There is something that happens that is sort of a spoiler because it is not in the synopsis. It happens early on in the book, and it's a lot of people don't like this trope. I'm not going to say it, but it complicates things a lot between the two of them, and she's kind of battling between keeping this promise to her dad and following her heart and staying with Raphael. So it's fantastic. I loved the chemistry. I loved the familial relationships. I love a family drama, and this has a lot of those kind of elements, but yeah, this was a great one. I also love looking at the intersection of like trying to keep your family traditions and trying to be who you are and, be with who you love. Next is Love Lists and Fancy Ships by Sarah Grunder Ruiz. This is the first book in a trilogy, but this one was definitely my favorite. I have read them all. So this is about a woman named Jo who works as a stewardess on a super yacht and is about to turn 30. Her best friend, Nina, put together this list for her that's like 30 things to do by 30. She has a family tragedy, and unexpectedly, her two nieces come to stay with her. One of the things on the list is to kiss a stranger in a bar, which she does, but what do you know? He is the new chef on the yacht. So, there's a couple things going on. We're talking about Jo and what she's going through after this tragedy in her family, and then we've got the romance, and I wrote in my initial review of this that it is the Guncle meets Below Deck, and I stand by that. So if this sounds good to you, I definitely think you should pick it up. Again, not like strictly a romance, but one that has a definite romantic element. Next we have Lease on Love by Fallon Ballard. This was her debut, and unfortunately, I have not found a book of hers yet that has replicated the feelings I had towards this one, but boy, this one absolutely blew me away. So this is about Sadie. She's just been passed over for a promotion. Things are just kind of not looking great for her. She finds herself needing to find a new place to live, and she opens up what she thinks is a dating app. However, it's actually a roommate finder app. So while Sadie thinks that they are on a date, Jack is just looking for someone to move into his fancy brownstone, which she ends up doing once it gets all sorted out, and, you know, they become the best of friends. The friend group in this book is phenomenal. I loved the way that they met, and you know, they have completely opposite personalities, and I really love the way that this all unfolded. It does tackle some heavier topics like grief and how to kind of move forward with your life after a loss, and yeah, this is making me want to reread it because of my situation here. So this is one that just really, really was touching and warmed my heart, and a definite recommendation. And the last one that I am going to talk about here is Second Chances in Newport Stephen by TJ Alexander. Okay, so technically this is like a Christmassy holiday book, but it's such a small part of the plot, like you can read this anytime. And in fact, I kind of want to reread it again. So this is about a man named Eli who is trans and is returning to his hometown for the first time since he transitioned. And he does not want to be returning to his hometown, but he's had some series of bad luck, and that's just kind of what he's doing for Christmas. He ends up running into his ex from high school. Now, his ex that he dated pre-transition. Now, Eli's high school ex, Nick, is a divorced father and is really excited to kind of reconnect as friends with Eli. But then he sort of comes to realize that, like, maybe it doesn't really matter. Maybe there is something to this whole sexuality is a spectrum thing. So I'll leave it at that, but it's just so sweet. I loved that they were like in their 40s, particularly that Nick is in his 40s and he's still, you know, figuring out like who he is and his sexuality, and the child, his kid Zoe, best written child I've ever read. I'm not a kid person, and I generally find them annoying a lot of the time, and no, she was a queen. I loved her. Like I said, this is, you know, set at Christmas time, but it's really not a Christmas book. This is absolutely one you can read all year round, and it has such wonderful representation in it. I loved it. Okay, I lied. There's one more that I want to pop in here, and the reason I left it to the end was because it really, I don't know. Is it a romance? There is just a really, really great romantic subplot, I guess. And that book is The Gay Best Friend by Nick DiDomizio. Another one that you've probably heard me just blab about for years. This book is about a man named Dom who's just kind of always been like the token gay guy, and he is just getting out of a long-term relationship. He's not in a great spot emotionally, but his best friend since childhood, Patrick, is getting married to Kate, who throughout the time that they've been dating has also become one of his closest friends, putting him in a space where he is invited to both the bachelor and the bachelorette parties. So before the bachelor party, Kate is like, please tell me if anything crazy is going on. Like, please, like, make sure that this is this and this. And, you know, he's very uncomfortable because he's the best man, but he also feels loyalty to Kate as well. So he doesn't really fit in with Patrick's other friends. Patrick's friends are frat boys. Basically, there's one that's a professional golfer that he's never gotten along with. He's just pretty nervous about the whole thing, especially when things take the turn that Kate thought they were going to take. This book kind of covers a lot of like deciding, you know, how to divide your loyalty, how to recognize that friendships and relationships change over time. And I also love that there is you know, a character kind of questioning their sexuality once again late in life, which I just think is a really interesting thing. And I think that representation of that's really important, particularly with the current political climate in the United States. I feel like while it was getting to a place where, you know, it was probably a little easier to come out, it's probably sending some people back in the closet. This is my speculation and how I see the world. And I hope it's not like that. I hope I'm wrong. But anyways, either way, I hope between this book and the last one I mentioned, you know, they see that. And either way, it's just a fantastic book. I'm gonna stop blabbing now. I don't even know how many books I just told you about. This wasn't super well organized, if you couldn't tell. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked me talking about some of my all-time favorite romances, and romances for the, shall we say, non-romance reader, or those who, you know, generally lean towards other genres. These are all books that I think you will like. So let me know in the comments if you've read any of these, what you think I should read for the month of February, if I want to squeeze in a few romances. Now you know what I like, so recommend away. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, I would love it if you would, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!